Look, I'm about to share something that fundamentally changed how I think about money. And here's the thing, most people are approaching their net worth completely backwards. They're focused on all the wrong metrics, making decisions that feel productive but are actually keeping them stuck in the same financial position year after year. In a recent poll I ran, building net worth was your number one financial goal for 2026. Not surprising. But what is surprising? The strategies that actually move the needle are nothing like what traditional financial advice tells you. So today I'm breaking down 10 methods to accelerate your net worth this year. And I'm confident that if you implement even 2 or 3 of these, you'll see measurable progress. Some of these are going to challenge what you think you know about money. Let's jump in. Method number 1, the proportional spending threshold. Here's what most people don't realize about spending. It's not the daily coffee that's destroying your wealth-building potential. It's the mid-size purchases that slip through unexamined because they don't feel that big. I call this the proportional spending threshold, and it works like this. Before making any discretionary purchase, ask yourself if it exceeds 1% of your current net worth. If it does, you pause for at least 72 hours before buying. Let me show you why this matters with real numbers. Say your net worth is $25,000. That means your threshold is $250. Every time you're about to drop more than $250 on something non-essential, new headphones, a weekend trip, upgraded tech, you implement a mandatory waiting period. Now you might be thinking, that seems restrictive, but watch what happens mathematically. If you make just one $250 purchase monthly at this net worth level, that's $3,000 annually. That represents 12% of your total net worth disappearing every single year on items you probably didn't think twice about. Here's where it gets really interesting. If you invested that $3,000 annually instead, assuming a conservative 8% return over 35 years, you're looking at $517,000 from one monthly purchase you barely remember making. The psychological force at work here is something called hedonic adaptation. We adapt to purchases incredibly quickly. That $300 item you convinced yourself you needed, research shows the satisfaction peaks within 48 hours and returns to baseline within 2 weeks. But the financial impact, that compounds for decades. This rule becomes less restrictive as you build wealth, which is exactly the point. When your net worth hits $200,000, suddenly your threshold is $2,000. You've got breathing room. But those early years under $100,000, that's where the friction is highest, and where this rule protects you most. I personally wait a full week before any purchase over my threshold, sometimes a month. Time reveals whether you actually want something or just wanted the dopamine hit of buying it. Method number 2. Decouple time from compensation. This one's uncomfortable to hear, but it's true. Hourly work has a ceiling, and that ceiling is probably lower than you think. I don't care if you're billing $400 per hour as a consultant or attorney. You're still fundamentally trading time for money, which means your income is capped by hours available. There are only so many hours you can work before you burn out, and lifestyle inflation tends to rise right alongside those impressive hourly rates. The wealth-building hack nobody talks about? Find a way to get paid for results, not hours. Look at 2 professionals. Both work in real estate. Person A is a property inspector, skilled, necessary, charges $150 per inspection. On a great day, they complete 4 inspections and earn $600. Person B is a realtor working on commission. The work to close a $500,000 home sale versus a $2 million home sale? Fairly similar. The commission difference? Massive. Potentially $15,000 versus $60,000 for comparable effort. Now here's the thing most people miss. Result-based compensation isn't just about sales roles. It's about structuring your work so that exceptional performance yields exponentially greater returns. Software developers who freelance on equity deals, writers who negotiate royalties, consultants who take performance bonuses over hourly rates. Even traditional employees can sometimes negotiate profit sharing or equity components. The trade-off: you need intrinsic motivation. No one's tracking your hours or ensuring you show up. You have to be a self-starter. But if you can handle that uncertainty, disconnecting your earnings from time worked is one of the fastest wealth accelerators available. And before you think that's not possible in my field, get creative. I've seen teachers build educational product businesses, Nurses create healthcare consulting practices, and accountants develop automated tools that generate passive licensing income. It's about shifting your mindset from what can I do per hour to what value can I create that scales. Method number 3, the 90/10 windfall protocol. Throughout your life, unexpected money will land in your account. Tax refunds, work bonuses, gifts, inheritance, maybe even small investment wins. Here's the brutal truth. Most people immediately absorb windfalls into their lifestyle. The money disappears into daily spending so quickly they can't even tell you where it went 6 months later. The psychology here is loss aversion in reverse. We didn't have this money before, so spending it doesn't feel like a loss. Our brain categorizes it separately from our regular income. This is called mental accounting, and it's sabotaging your wealth building. I'm going to give you a realistic protocol, because telling people to save 100% of windfalls doesn't work. Here's what does. The 90/10 split. When unexpected money arrives, immediately move 90% to investments before you psychologically integrate it into your available spending money. Keep 10% guilt-free for whatever you want. Let's run the numbers. Say you receive a $4,000 annual tax refund. Most people blow it within 3 months. New furniture, dinner splurges, whatever. But if you invest $3,600 of it annually at 8% returns over just 20 years, that single habit compounds to $175,000. $175,000 from being disciplined with money you didn't even plan on having. The 10% you keep to spend? That's not a failure. It's strategy. It removes the feeling of deprivation that causes people to abandon good financial habits entirely. You get to enjoy something now while still prioritizing your future self. Set up the automation immediately. The moment a windfall hits your checking account, the transfer happens automatically. Don't give yourself time to reconsider. Method number 4, expand the income-expense gap. This sounds obvious until you realize how many high earners are completely broke. Building wealth requires exactly one mathematical reality: earning more than you spend. That's it. But there are only 2 ways to make this gap larger: increase income or decrease expenses. Here's what actually works. Tactic 1, strategic job movement. Staying at one company too long is a wealth killer. Here's why. According to research on compensation trends, employees who switch companies see average salary increases of 10 to 20%, while those who stay average 3 to 5% annual raises. The math is stark. Start at $60,000. Stay at one company with 3% annual raises for 10 years, you're at $80,635. Switch companies every 2 to 3 years with 15% bumps. You're at $121,000. Companies aren't incentivized to pay you market rate once you're already there doing the work. But when they're trying to recruit you away from another company, suddenly budget appears. This is especially true when moving to larger organizations with more structured compensation bands. Now, you might be thinking, but what about loyalty? Look, loyalty is excellent when it's mutual, but if your company values you, they should proactively adjust your compensation to market rates without you having to threaten to leave. Most don't. Tactic 2, ruthless expense auditing. Track every dollar for 1 month. I mean everything. Then categorize your spending and identify the 2 or 3 categories that are disproportionately high relative to the value they bring your life. Most people discover they're hemorrhaging money in areas they barely notice. Subscriptions they forgot about, convenience purchases that became habits, upgraded services they don't use. Cut aggressively in those specific categories. Not everywhere. That leads to deprivation and rebound spending. Target the waste. Tactic 3, high-value skill acquisition. This is the long game, but the payoff is substantial. Identify skills that either directly generate revenue or are in high demand with limited supply. I've watched people go from $55,000 to $110,000 annually by learning data analytics. Tradespeople who add specialized certifications, welding, HVAC, electrical, often see 40 to 60% income increases. Digital skills like video editing, SEO, or paid advertising can become lucrative side income or career pivots. The commitment? 6 to 12 months of evenings and weekends. The return? Potentially permanent income elevation. Method number 5, active net worth monitoring. Here's a stat that shocked me. 67% of Americans don't track their net worth at all. This is pure self-sabotage. What gets measured gets managed. When you're actively monitoring your net worth, you become viscerally aware of how financial decisions impact your progress. Calculating net worth is simple: total assets minus total liabilities. But the act of tracking it regularly creates a psychological feedback loop. You start asking, well, will this decision increase or decrease my net worth before making purchases? I used to track monthly, but found that too frequent. Small fluctuations created unnecessary emotional noise. Quarterly tracking is the sweet spot, often enough to stay accountable, spaced enough to see meaningful trends. Create a simple spreadsheet. List all accounts, current balances, and debts. Update it every 3 months. Watch the number grow. That visual progress is incredibly motivating and keeps you oriented toward decisions that build wealth rather than deplete it. Method number 6, control lifestyle velocity. This is where most high earners destroy their wealth-building potential. Lifestyle velocity is the speed at which your spending increases as your income grows. And here's what's insidious about it. It feels earned. You worked hard for that raise. Why shouldn't you upgrade your car? Get the nicer apartment? Take better vacations? The problem is mathematical. Let me show you with real numbers. The average annual cost of vehicle ownership in 2025 is about $12,000. Home ownership and maintenance averages $22,000 annually. A decent vacation now costs $7,500. International trips closer to $10,000. If you increase your income by $20,000 annually, but simultaneously upgrade your car and take one additional nice vacation, you've absorbed that entire raise into recurring expenses. Your net worth hasn't budged. This is the hedonic treadmill in action. We assume more spending equals more happiness. But research consistently shows that beyond basic comfort, material purchases provide diminishing returns. Here's what actually creates lasting satisfaction: experiences, relationships, autonomy, and progress toward meaningful goals. None of these require perpetual lifestyle inflation. The strategy? When you get a raise, immediately allocate at least 50% of that increase to automated investing before you ever see it. Lifestyle creep happens unconsciously when the money's available to spend. Make it unavailable. Delay major status purchases as long as possible. Every year you wait to upgrade your car or home is another year that money compounds in your favor. Method number 7, maximize tax efficiency. This is keeping more of what you earn without earning more, pure optimization. Strategy 1, max retirement contributions. For 2026, you can contribute $24,500 to a 401k if you're under 50, or $32,500 if you're over. IRAs allow $7,500 under 50, $8,600 over. Traditional contributions are tax-deferred, meaning they lower your taxable income now. If you're in the 24% tax bracket and max out a 401k, you're saving approximately $5,880 in taxes annually while building retirement wealth. Strategy 2, tax-sheltered growth. Inside retirement accounts, you can trade without triggering capital gains taxes. In a taxable brokerage account, every time you sell at a profit, you owe taxes. That creates drag on compounding. But in a 401k or IRA, buy and sell freely. Rebalance without tax consequences. Over decades, this sheltered compounding creates enormous wealth differences compared to taxable accounts. Bonus points if you're using a Roth IRA, where growth is tax-free forever, not just tax-deferred. Strategy 3, tax loss harvesting. In taxable accounts, if you have investments showing losses, you can sell them to realize those losses and offset realized gains elsewhere. Then immediately purchase a similar investment to maintain market exposure. This reduces your tax bill without changing your investment strategy. It's free money most people ignore. Method number 8, negotiate everything. Most people dramatically underestimate what's negotiable in life. I'm not saying negotiate your grocery bill, though I know someone who successfully negotiates at butcher shops for end-of-day meat discounts. But you absolutely should negotiate salaries, service bills, vendor costs, insurance rates, and major purchases. 2 critical truths about negotiating. First, it's uncomfortable but financially transformative. Negotiate your starting salary up by just $5,000, then receive standard 3% annual raises. And that single uncomfortable conversation is worth approximately $60,000 over your career. Second, negotiation follows a universal framework. Know what you want, know your acceptable minimum, and know your alternative if the negotiation fails. I personally saved $800 annually, just by calling my insurance and internet providers and asking if they had any retention discounts available. 15-minute phone calls, $800 per year. That's over $16,000 across 20 years when invested. Many companies have retention departments whose entire function is keeping customers by offering discounts, but only if you ask. The worst they can say is no. You lose nothing by asking. Method number 9. Automate everything financial. People fail at building wealth because they make too many active decisions. Every decision is an opportunity for error, procrastination, or emotional spending. Automation removes decisions entirely. Set up automatic transfers on payday. Say you're paid twice monthly and want to invest $600 per paycheck. Schedule automatic transfers from checking to your investment account the day after each payday. The money disappears before you can spend it. You can't spend what you don't see. Here's what to automate: utilities, rent or mortgage, credit card payments, savings transfers, and investment contributions. Configure it once, then forget it. Your net worth grows automatically while you focus on increasing income and controlling expenses. Method number 10. Compound your financial education. This might be the highest ROI investment you'll ever make because financial literacy compounds better than money. One concept learned builds on the previous one. Understanding compound interest emphasizes starting early. Understanding tax efficiency helps you structure investments better. Understanding behavioral psychology prevents emotional financial mistakes. The beautiful thing? This knowledge is mostly free. Books, podcasts, YouTube channels focused on legitimate financial education. People who build wealth aren't necessarily the highest earners. They're the ones making better decisions with what they have. And better decisions come from better understanding. Invest time in your financial education. It's guaranteed to pay dividends for the rest of your life. Look, building net worth isn't about deprivation or getting lucky. It's about understanding how money actually works and making systematic decisions that compound in your favor over time. You don't need to implement all 10 of these methods. Even 2 or 3 will materially change your financial trajectory. The key is starting now and staying consistent. If you found this valuable, I've got another video breaking down how to get ahead of 99% of people financially. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.